So Tuesday night, after Tony and Tess flew back to California, we wanted to make sure we got their Mustang put away in Billy's shop before it got rained on and before any of his new fancy TBM brake parts got any rust on them. Plus, we've got a little bit of fabrication work we need to get done as well. Once we got the Mustang put away, Billy got busy making some repairs to one of the head pipes on the Falcon. He found this thing cracked when we started taking it apart to put new valve springs on. Luckily, now that Billy has his own welder and everything that we need to do this stuff, we can take care of these repairs ourselves in-house and not have to wait on someone else to do them for us. And that has been a major blessing. Both Billy and Rob have gotten really good at fabrication and welding, especially TIG welding, and Billy managed to make this repair look pretty easy. Wednesday morning, we were back in the shop at my place working on race cars. Robbie was busy trying to put valve springs on the Falcon and put the exhaust system back together. And then I got a text from Uncle Bob up at the machine shop asking if Billy and I would like to join him for lunch today down at Rooster's in Newark. So I jumped in the 64 and I make my way down there. Now currently Billy's big block Chevy is up at Bob's getting repaired, but we've got more projects waiting. There are currently 3 other small block Chevys up there right now, and we've got an aluminum small block Chevy we're getting ready to start for the S10, as well as a new engine for the Falcon. So Bob just wanted to sit down and touch base with us and figure out what we need to schedule first. Not only that, but he wanted to talk to us about this incredible weekend we just came off of, winning Olympi's Cash Days on the streets in Ohio, as well as the Uncaged Backwards event at National Trail Raceway, where we ran CJ Buckner in the finals both nights. Bob takes a lot of pride in being involved in our program, and we're definitely thankful to have him, for sure. So anyway, when we got back to the shop, Robbie was just about done putting valve springs on, and Billy and I hopped into Malibu to run into Jegs to pick up some parts for the Mustang, and maybe a couple things for the Malibu as well. Now this little rivalry that we've got going on between my Malibu and Billy's Mustang is starting to get pretty serious. Billy wanted to pick up some new ignition parts for the Mustang, including a new distributor so he can lock out his ignition timing, and I needed a new retard box so I can pull timing out of the ignition on the Malibu, because I plan on turning the wick up on this nitrous kit pretty soon. So once we picked up our parts, we head back to the shop to start work on the Mustang and finish up the Falcon. Robbie was just waiting on this new set of MSD plug wires so he could finish it up. So while the boys are finishing that up, I decided to go outside and spend some time with the dogs. They've both been pestering me to death all day, want me to go out and throw this frisbee for them. So I figure I'll go out and help them burn off some energy so that they'll behave when I go back into the shop. There was just one more little detail that needed to be taken care of on the Falcon. Evidently, the cam sensor was loose in the front timing cover, and Jeremy's having one hell of a time getting the old cam sensor out of it. And I figure there's no better time to aggravate the shit out of Jeremy than while he's working on an LS, because he's the only one I know of that hates these engines more than me. You're gonna retire from this freaking cam sensor job, aren't you? Is this a city garage?
First time he's got his hands dirty, you'll leave.
Yeah.
Oh my God, here's this shit. All
What have you been doing? Everybody's asking, where's Jeremy? Where's Uncle Bucko? So Jeremy's been a little bit busy the last few days helping my dad. Dad has evidently found yet another 2-cylinder John Deere tractor wasting away in someone's shop, torn apart in a million pieces. And regardless of how many projects my dad has and how many projects he has not finished, he's always got room for one more. So Jeremy's been busy with that, and he's been working on cleaning up his own shop at this new property he just bought. So needless to say, Jeremy's been burning the candle on both ends. So while he's extra tired and extra grouchy, I take the opportunity to wind him up.
lack of maintenance.
Oh, this ain't lack of maintenance.
Oh, this is like, okay to me.
You gonna be able to get this done today?
I gotta get it done here in the next 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Start the clock.
An elephant in my face.
What's wrong with it?
It's custom.
It's in the middle of everything.
It's custom fabrication.
Yeah, we know.
It's a Fabergé.
Oh God, he's got needle nose pliers out now. Robbie, has it been 3 minutes yet?
Definitely 3 minutes.
It's been like 5. You know what else it's time for? A haircut. You're looking a little rough there, Slim. Jeremy's having one hell of a time getting this cam sensor out of the timing cover, and as usual, a 3-minute job for him has turned into at least 45 minutes, which I over-exaggerate into 2 hours. It's 2 hours later.
It is not 2 hours later.
It's 2 hours. Dude, you said 3 minutes 2 hours ago.
No, it's not been 2
Did you
hours.
finally get it out? What the hell is that?
Cam sensor.
You dug it out in pieces?
How else you expect me to get it out?
Oh my God, you're such a hack job. What's the situation here, bucko? Oh, Rob's got to finish the job.
Well, I did all the hard shit. He's taking Kenny's place.
So what do you think, Robbie?
I think we're fixed. Hopefully.
It's got all new plug wires,
All new plug wires,
new plugs, new valve springs.
new cam sensor.
We should be top notch. Maybe we'll go out and make a test hit with it tonight and see what it does. So now that we've got the Falcon all put back together and it's ready to go, we turn our attention to Billy's Mustang. Now he's been trying to street race me with this thing, trying to spray it. You'll see that probably in tomorrow's video on Street Racing Channel. But anyway, the ignition timing wasn't locked out, so he bought a new MSD distributor. I locked the timing out for him today, and he and Robbie installed the distributor tonight. So now what? We're going to go down draggy this turd barrel and see if it's any faster?
Yeah, I think my previous best
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Okay, maybe say it, because it's pretty slow.
My previous best was 840 in the 8th. I'm thinking now it's probably going to go 820s. On spray, it should go quite a bit faster. So maybe we'll make one on motor, one on spray.
You ready?
Yep.
So Billy heads out in the Mustang, and I head out in the Malibu with my own draggy attached to the dash. Now, I've never taken any of this real serious, but now that Tony Politano's helping him get this Mustang running, it's putting a little bit more pressure on me to make sure the Malibu stays on top. Now, even though this thing's got a little bit too big of a carburetor, a little bit too big of an intake manifold, I'm telling you right now, when you put the kit to this thing, it comes to life. And I've got a sneaking suspicion that Billy and Tony have been blowing up text messages back and forth, trying to figure out some way to get this 302 5-speed Mustang to bury my Malibu out in the street. So far, I've managed to hold them off, but I can tell it's not going to be long before they're knocking on the door of this Malibu. Now, when Billy put these 28-inch by 9 tires on the back of this Mustang, Tony told him they'd be too big for it, naturally aspirated. But on nitrous, it's a whole nother story. Now, the Mustang looks quite a bit faster than it did the other night, so I decided after Billy's made his pass, it's time for me to bring the Malibu up and make a nitrous hit of my own. Unfortunately, the bottle in the Malibu was almost empty when I made this lick, and the nitrous cut in and out all the way down the road. Now, it didn't make a bad pass, but it wasn't what it needed to be. So the only way to find out whether or not these two are actually competitive or not is to run them on motor, and that's exactly what we were about to get done.
I've been hearing mischief off in the distance, and here they come. I can hear them coming from a mile away. What do you have to say for yourselves?
I won. Now, according to the draggy last night, Billy's Mustang has picked up 2/10 on motor, and I know for a fact that it's going to pick up a lot more than that when he turns the kit on. So I'm going to have to start leaning on this Malibu considerably harder to stay ahead. One of the first things I want to get upgraded is the drive shaft, because ever since we put the 9-inch Ford rear end underneath the back of this car, the drive shaft's been a little bit too short. Plus, the original drive shaft is still in this car with the original OEM U-joints. So the first thing I'm going to do today is load this drive shaft up in the Suburban, and me and June Pup are going to head towards Newark. Anytime that we've ever needed drive shaft work done, we always take them to Super Duty Truck Parts on 13. They are a full-service driveline company, and they've built every drive shaft in every vehicle that we currently own. These guys take really good care of us. I brought the drive shaft in, laid it on the table, they took measurements on it, and calculated how long the new drive shaft needed to be based on where the seal was riding on the yoke. June Pup was getting bored hanging out in the shop. She was ready to get back in the Suburban and head home. So luckily it didn't take these guys very long to build me this completely brand new drive shaft so I could get back to the shop and start on my next project, which is installing a new air-fuel ratio monitor so that I can tune this thing in to perfection. Robbie found the perfect spot on the header collector, drilled a hole with a step bit, and then welded the bung in for the O2 sensor. After we got that done, I had a little problem with the ignition system. I had burnt the coil wire off the ignition coil the other night, and I had to stuff the coil wire down in the coil just so I could get home. So I picked up this brand new MSD3 coil that has an HEI style male end. So Robbie went ahead and got that installed in the Malibu for me and repaired the existing coil wire. Once we had all that done, it was time to set the car back up on the lift and put the new drive shaft in. And as usual, the drive shaft fit like a glove. I'll work on wiring up the air-fuel ratio monitor later this afternoon, but for right now we need to get the nitrous bottle pulled out and bring the Falcon back in the shop so we can swap out the slicks for drag radials. Because the event this weekend that they're taking the Falcon to dictates that small tire cars have to run on a drag radial, a DOT drag radial. So while the boys are switching the tires out on the Falcon, I decided to take the Malibu out for a test drive to check out the new drive shaft. And I couldn't believe how much vibration the cars had in it until I took that drive shaft out and put the new one in. So now I can at least leave on a little bit of nitrous instead of babying it out of the hole the way I have with the 10-bolt. So anyway, by the time I got back from my test drive, it was just about sunset, and Billy was uploading a tune to put in the Falcon so we can go out and make a test hit before they head out this weekend. So obviously that wasn't what we were looking for, but Billy really felt like it should have gone down the road. Well, when we got back to the shop, we watched the video closely and we figured out what the problem was. When the car left, it actually peeled some of the blacktop off the road, it stuck to the tire and made the tire spin on the left side. That started the wheel speed, and from that point on, the entire test hit was no good. All right, guys, welcome back to the shop. It is Thursday night. It's Thursday night. Tomorrow's Friday, and you'll probably be seeing this on Friday. But tomorrow's Friday, and we're going to take the Malibu. Me and Vicki are going to take the Malibu down to Edgewater for a streetcar takeover. I'm going to try and run the 11 flat index. Now, that car's never been 11 flat, so I'm going to have to lean on this thing a little bit. As I mentioned earlier in the video, in preparation for that, I put some upgrades in the car. I don't have the ignition retard box installed just yet. I'm not going to need that until I up the jet in the plate. But for right now, it's going to be okay without it. But I did get the air-fuel ratio monitor installed in the car. The only place I could really mount it without damaging the interior was to the side of that shifter cover. So I went ahead and mounted it in there, got it hooked up. Billy and I took it up the road tonight, and under wide open throttle, it's at 12.5, and that's pretty much the sweet spot. I mean, that's pretty good. 12.5 on the air fuel gauge is pretty good wide open throttle. Although it's a little bit rich at idle and it's a little bit rich at tip in. I think that's mainly just going to be a low speed air bleed change to correct that. Big thank you to Uncle Rob. He went and got my nitrous bottles filled for me today and ran some errands for me. He went to Jegs and picked up the mount to mount this air fuel ratio gauge because it didn't come with one. So he also did some work out here for us today, and we really appreciate Robbie being here. Thanks to Uncle Bucko. He stopped here tonight. He was here for a little while and helped me finish up the wiring underneath the dash. And I think this thing's pretty much ready to go. All I got to do is load it in the trailer, tie it down, and I do want to go fill up some fuel jugs tomorrow with E85 because I think the fuel level in the tank's just where I want it, just right. And I want to try and maintain that fuel level to keep the car consistent. So I'll go get some fuel jugs filled tomorrow, and outside of that, I think we're pretty much ready to go. Now, anybody that's running E85, you're really going to want to use an air fuel ratio gauge to help fine tune the carburetor. You can do it the way I did it, kind of old school, but the car is still a little bit rich on tip in and off idle cruise. And the tuning window on E85 is so wide that you can really have it pretty rich and be down on power, and you don't even hardly realize it. But maybe next week, as we start tuning this thing in with air fuel ratio gauge and get the part throttle and tip in cleaned up on it, maybe I can explain and show how I do that, and maybe even do some fuel economy testing, because I jetted this carburetor down in the front, 3 jet sizes, and the fuel economy has about tripled. This thing was getting gallons per mile there for a while. If you remember the last time I was at Edgewater, I had to jet the front of the carburetor way up, just out of the blue, because it had a terrible lean stumble. And it turns out the problem was the vacuum brake booster has an issue, or had an issue. I have since corrected that, and so ever since I fixed that vacuum leak, I had to jet the carburetor back down. And so, long story short, we'll get into that maybe next week as I start to dial this carburetor in a little bit closer to being perfect, so we can get our part throttle cruise and our fuel economy up where it needs to be. So anyway, with that being said, Miss Vicky's in here, and she's got some details and some things that she wants to talk to you guys about.
We are headed to Edgewater, which is down near Cincinnati, streetcar takeover. It is going to be gorgeous this weekend. So
That's just me and you.
Yeah, just me and Bill. He's going to run the index class, the 11.0 index, and I'll be there with the merch tent, and it's going to be great. Here's the details. Friday for streetcar takeover, gates at 6 p.m. for spectators. It's $20 to get in. Kids 12 and under are free. There's open testing and a little small tire shootout at 7:30.
Okay.
So that's what's going on Friday night. Then Saturday, gates for spectators are at 11. Again, it's $20 to get in. Your racing starts around 3 o'clock. There is other stuff going on prior to 3. There's like burnout contests and car show and stuff, but your stuff will be around 3 o'clock for index. So that is streetcar takeover. Billy and Tommy and Allison are headed up to Pontiac, Michigan for this Roadkill Nights on Woodward Avenue. This is a thing put on by Motor Trend, and he's never been to it before. It's very different than anything they've ever done.
Details.
Yeah, details. Okay. Saturday, spectators can get into that at 10 a.m. And if you want like details about exactly where this is and everything, go to motortrend.com. They have a website that has all the extensive details to tell you prices and where to park and all that stuff.
Okay. What else?
So a lot of you are aware that down in eastern Kentucky, there's been very, very severe flooding, like historic flooding that they've never seen before. It's only about 30 to 40 minutes from where our merch maker, Gina, lives and where her shirt gallery shop is. Gina has always been very involved in the community, and Kent Rose himself, he was very involved. And anytime that there was a disaster in the area, he was always right there to help. And Gina's continuing that tradition, I guess, that Kent started of helping those people. So some of these areas are so destroyed that they are relying on airdrops, like to get food in. ATVs are the only way to get to people. Culverts, Gina said that there's hundreds of culverts just gone, and it's going to be 3 months before water is restored. They have no power. She said in the door-to-door visiting that she's done, people are literally sleeping in sheds, sleeping on their porches. They need mosquito nets, they need air mattresses, like they need totes and canopies and mold cleaner buckets and squeegees and boots. Like,
Is there some place they can go to get all this information, what these people need?
well, what they need, what I would like to ask our viewers to do, if you can, go to the Kent Rose Foundation. This is the PayPal, KentRoseFoundation@gmail.com, or Kent Rose Foundation on Facebook. And there's a link right when you go to the Facebook page to donate. Gina is making sure that the supplies that are needed are getting to the people who need them the most. She is like spearheading this. And if even you could give $5 or $10, anything helps. And I know that our viewers can pull through in times like this. We've seen it before. I'd love to see everybody that can help out and donate.
To the Kent Rose Foundation?
Yep. KentRoseFoundation@gmail.com.
That's the PayPal,
That's
Addie?
the PayPal. Yep.
Okay.
And Kent Rose Foundation on Facebook, and you'll see the link. And it is a 501c3, so it's tax deductible if you want.
All right. Please help the people of Eastern Kentucky by donating today to the KentRoseFoundation.com.